What is up, you guys? This is All Day Any Day 1 on the PS4, and I'm going to be giving you a score rating for Blade. And the scores will be 1 out of 100. And there's 10 different areas. It's going to be damage output, survivability, versatility, AOE effectiveness, single target effectiveness, resources or resource consumption, crowd control effectiveness, trials, farming effectiveness, support effectiveness, and then your total score. And the way the total score works, just in case you guys don't know, is I add up all of the points together, then divide it by 10, and then you get your average, obviously. Math. So, let's start off with his damage output. I gave his damage output a score of 95 out of 100. The reason why I gave it a 95 is because he has the best, most absolute best single target damage in the game throughout every other character in the roster, but his AOE effect, like his AOE damage, kind of lacks there. Um, but I mean, he's still at a 95, which is a really high rating. Like at an average, I would say the average score rating would be a 60. That is probably the average rating I could give anyone. But he got a 95 on his damage output, and his survivability, I gave him an 85. The reason why I gave him an 85 is because he does have his serum, which does technically heal him, so that's really good. That's really useful right there. He has a grenade that can stun enemies as well, and then he also can pretty much kill most enemies in one go with his signature. Um, and not just that, but his whiplash lets him move around as well, which in my opinion, that increases his survivability a little bit more because he's more mobile, and the more mobile the character is, the higher their survivability is. So, with that being said, that's why I gave him an 85. The only reason why he didn't get in the 90s is because he he doesn't have anything that really benefits him defensively. He doesn't get any type of invulnerability. He doesn't get a shield. Obviously, unless you put a relic on him, or not a relic, an artifact, or whatever. Um, and he also doesn't get a stronger healing ability other than his serum. His serum will heal him once. It'll heal him a lot more when he's in starving mode, and when you're in starving, your health starts to deplete, which kind of takes away some of your survivability because your health is depleting no matter what. And then if you take damage, that's just more health lost. But yeah, so he got an 85 in survivability. His versatility, I gave him a 70 in versatility due to the fact that, I mean, his main damage dealer is going to be his signature. And if you're not using your signature, you're pretty much missing out on a lot. But with that being said, the reason why he still got an 70 though is because you don't have to use every single other ability. You will be using the talent. What is this talent called?
Enough of
The
this.
talent
I
that
must continue my journey alone.
Patient Hunter. So with Patient Hunter, when you use a cooldown power, it reduces the cooldown of your signature by zero point 0.5 seconds, and effects are doubled while starving. So you're pretty much going to be using abilities, any ability of your choice, obviously, that'll give you a cooldown or help you with your cooldown for your signature. And the reason why the versatility is at an average score of 70 is because your main focus with this build is around the signature. It's not around anything else. So, I mean, I guess you can make a gun build as well, but like I said, your main focus with Blade is primarily going to be his signature since that does the most damage. So that got a 70. His AoE effectiveness, I gave that an 85 due to the fact that he has the hypertoxin grenade, which does really, really, really nice AoE damage. And he also has the jump ability. I forgot what that is called. Party Crasher. So with Party Crasher, he jumps up in the air and does nice AoE damage. And his hypertoxin grenade also does AoE damage. It when an enemy dies while having hypertoxin active on them, they detonate an explosion and it hurts other nearby enemies. And same go, and then it just pretty much stacks with each other. And then the Whiplash can kind of be an AOE ability as well, because it also applies bleed. But yeah, other than that, I mean, I gave him an 85 because he isn't focused around. Obviously, he's not focused around his AOE. But on his single target effectiveness, I gave that a solid 100 due to the fact that, like I said, he has the strongest and the best single target damage in the game. His You can pretty much get his signature back in about 15 seconds. So every 15 seconds or so, you can pretty much hit like 8 mil damage with his signature, taking out bosses in, like less than a minute. So that's really, really good with Blade. Um, his resource consumption, I gave that an 85 because, I mean, if you are one of the players that, if you're using Blade and you're not using any guns or anything that uses ammo, then kudos to you. Then I guess that would be 100. But for a more effective build, I suppose, you're going to want to use your ammo because, I mean, that just helps you. And plus, the abilities that I have, the stake, the whatever, on my L2 square, and then hyper toxin grenade, and my stake through the heart abilities, they are based off charges. And every time you use a charge ability, that counts as a cooldown, which reduces my signature's cooldown as well. But they also take ammo too. So the more you use that, the less ammo you use, and it kind of takes a lot of ammo as well. So that's why I gave his resource consumption an 85, due to the fact that it uses um, a lot of ammo. But the good thing is Whiplash doesn't use any ammo, so you could just spam that as long as you like. Um, his crowd control effectiveness, I gave that a 70, just because I believe he only has one ability, which would be the UV grenade that stuns enemies. Anything else doesn't stun them. Yeah, so he doesn't have anything else that can stun enemies. He does have grievous wounds though, which applies bleed, but his bleed damage does not stack. And bleed also does count towards crowd control effectiveness. I believe it counts as crowd control. I'm just gonna say it does. Even if it doesn't, I'm just gonna say it does. But yeah, so he has grievous wounds, which applies bleed, but they don't stack like the same way Wolverine's bleed stacks. So yeah, I gave him a 70 on that. And then his trials, I gave his trials a solid 100 as well, due to the fact that he can take the boss out in pretty much one signature. And like I said, you can get your signature back in about 15 seconds. So you're able to take out all those ads without a problem, able to take out the boss without a problem either. So that's why I gave him 100. I mean, I did my trials in just like straight blue gear, level 30 to 40 blue gear. So for farming effectiveness, I gave that a 95. The only reason why I gave him a 95 and not a 100 is because, in my opinion, Scarlet Witch is the best farming character, but I only gave her a 98 due to the fact that she can't take out bosses really quick. But vice versa with Blade, I gave him a 95 because he can take out bosses in one go, but he can't take out he can't take out mobs of enemies in one go, just like Scarlet Witch can. But I mean, if they're lined up in a good line, he can take them out with his signature. His UV grenade, I mean, hyper toxin grenade can do nice damage. Party crash can do nice AOE damage, and so can Whiplash. So that's why he still got a nice 95 score. And then his support effectiveness, I gave that a 70. The only reason why I gave him a 70 is because he doesn't have any support abilities. He does have CC, a couple CCs, or one CC, which is his UV grenade. But other than that, he doesn't really have much support. But I guess you can take in the fact that being able to take out mobs, or not mobs, but enemies in one go, basically one signature, and get his signature back fairly quick, is what gave him a push in his support effectiveness, just because of his damage output. So in total, I gave Blade an 85.5 in his total scores. Um, it's not bad at all. It's still a really high score for a character. Like I said, an average character, someone who is pretty bad, or has a bad score. Not pretty bad, but like just isn't up to par with all the top tier characters in my opinion, would probably be scored in the 60s. So yeah, like I said, just because I scored Blade in 85.5 doesn't mean he's a bad character at all. He's still a very, very, very good character. Like in my opinion, I think it would be really hard for any character, to really get in the 90s. There might be a few characters that are able to get into the 90s, but yeah. If this video helped you at all, go ahead and leave a like, comment, subscribe. Um, if you have any questions or suggestions, let me know down in the comment section, or you can ask me on my Twitter at alldayanyday1. If you want to see any other characters, let me know down in the comment section. I do have a few characters that I don't have all the way up to level 60, so I won't be able to do those characters if you ask. But I will get them all done eventually down the line or down the road, whatever. But yeah, that's basically it. This is All Day Any Day 1 on the PS4. Have a good day, good night, and peace.